We consider South Africa as one of our most important partners in Africa as a continent, and we value the efforts that South Africa did, and in terms of putting an end to the Russian aggression. We all remember the successful and important visit of the group of the African presidents to Ukraine, including the President Ramaphosa. They visited Ukraine, and they did that before going to Russia, which was very important. And we insisted on that, by the way. We told the group of African presidents that we wish you come to Ukraine before you go there, because you have to see by your own eyes what Russia has done to our people, to the capital. They have visited several places nearby the capital, and they saw the destruction there. And South Africa is very important. We maintain continuous and consistent dialogue on the highest level. So our presidents talk to each other very frequently. They met physically twice already, once in June 2023 here in Kiev, and the second meeting took place on the sidelines of the 78th General Assembly session in New York in September, also last year. As I said, followed by many phone conversations between the two presidents. Also, there is a direct line between the national security advisors of President Ramaphosa and the head of the presidential office, Mr. Andriy Yermak. Also, we value highly the participation of South Africa in all the rounds of the negotiations on the peace formula, on different levels, starting from the level of the ambassadors and ending up by the level of the national security advisors and political advisors, the last round of which took place in Davos in January this year. And we hope and we believe that South Africa will take an active role and play an active role in facilitating and participating in the first Peace Formula Summit, which we are looking forward to hold and organize in Switzerland. So we invite South Africa, and we hope, and as I said, we believe that the President Ramaphosa will be there and will show his support to the peace plan, to the comprehensive peace plan that Ukraine introduced, which is aimed at putting an end to the Russian aggression against Ukraine. And it also, as we always say, that the peace formula is could be suitable tool, an effective tool and instrument for the resolution of conflicts in other parts, including those which are ongoing and unfolding in Africa, unfortunately. And we have already expressed and extended this invitation through the government of South Africa to the South African companies to rebuild Ukraine, to help Ukraine rebuild its damaged and destroyed infrastructure, civil infrastructure first of all. Also, the humanitarian demining is very important. We know that Africa has a vast and enormous experience in demining sphere, and has both the expertise and the necessary equipment to do that. So also, we would love to see South Africa among countries which will participate in the humanitarian demining of the polluted territories and areas by Russians, polluted by the mines that Russia's left there. So I would say that, and last but not least, we also would be very happy to see President Zelensky visiting South Africa. And we expect from the South African government to inform us through diplomatic channels about the suitable time and dates of such visit, so we can arrange everything. We know that South Africa is about to witness general elections. Of course, we know that, we're following that, and we hope once the schedule of the leadership of South Africa allows to host President Zelensky in Pretoria, we will be very glad to be there and to organize that very important visit. And by the way, that if it happens, that is going to be the first ever visit of President Zelensky to Africa. No, so that would be very, very symbolic.
It's like you read my mind, because I wanted to ask you if there were any plans by President Zelensky to visit South Africa. So I see that you say you guys will communicate, or have you communicated to South Africa to say the president is keen to visit that country? And can you maybe tell us why? Is it just to strengthen the relations, or why would you want to go to South Africa?
The idea first is to express our appreciation to South Africa for its support to the Ukrainian initiatives, starting with the peace formula, ending up with the grain from Ukraine initiative, which I mentioned already. Also, we see a possibility for South Africa to participate in the release of prisoners of war. South Africa has good relations with both Ukraine and Russia, and we see that it can play a positive role in releasing Ukrainian military men and women which were imprisoned and still imprisoned and abducted by the Russians. That's also an important direction that we are ready to discuss. And also the idea is that why not to bring to South Africa more African leaders to organize a meeting which would possibly could be called as a Ukraine-Africa Summit. So President Ramaphosa is a respected president in the African continent, and I think that he's capable to bring other African leaders to Pretoria to meet President Zelensky and to talk about the many issues pertaining to the Russian aggression, to confronting the Russian propaganda, the negative effects that Russia's invasion against Ukraine brings to Africa, and to explore the opportunities of our deepening our cooperation with the countries of the continent. So not only Russia, but also Ukraine trained many Africans, including South African nationals, in its universities, institutes, military academies. During the fight against colonialism, many African fighters and combatants were trained in the USSR, but USSR also included Ukraine. And many of those combatants and public leaders who became national heroes for many African countries, many of them were trained by Ukrainian military servicemen in Crimea, which was and is a part of Ukraine, and in other parts of Ukraine. So Russia is trying and to monopolize the legacy of the Soviet Union. So there should be no doubt that Ukraine was a part to all those efforts which African nations praise and which African nations are proud of when it comes to the history of the partnership with Russia. So Russia calls itself that it inherited the legacy of the Soviet Union, but Ukraine was an integral part of that union, and it played a very substantial role in helping African nations to get their independence. So now when we hear some voices trying to persuade Ukraine to sit at the table and to give concessions and to take the matters as they are, the Russian narratives that we hear from here and there, we always ask the same question. So, and we know from history that African countries got their independence after they shed the last drop of their blood to have their own countries become sovereign and independent. So why should Ukraine give up its sovereignty just to make somebody happy, or just to appease somebody, or just to give somebody a chance to regroup and to regain momentum to continue its expansion and its occupation of territory of other sovereign countries? So African nations were committed to fighting till the victory, fighting till they get their sovereignty for their countries. The same with us, we are doing the same because it's a matter of existence, and you know that very well. And we had tens of thousands of students who were studying in Ukraine before the Russian, on the eve of the Russian invasion. And we did whatever we could at that time to guarantee their free evacuation from Ukraine. And still, many of them refused to continue their education in Russia, though it is very easy for them to do so, because they get offers from the Russian government. Also, the language factor. There is no almost no language barrier for many of them, especially those who used to study in the eastern part of Ukraine. But I know tens of examples. Students refusing to go to Russia because Russia is considered to be the reason why they had to flee, why they had to disrupt their education in Ukraine, the country which they have chosen voluntarily